Here's the question. How do you make the impossible possible? Simple. Remove the I am, the ego. Now, how do you step into that newfound possibility? With a series of small intentional steps. Never forget, the greatest among us started from humble beginnings. But to truly unlock your potential, realize you're here for something greater. If you're yearning for more than just a good life, let's take that small step together to reach greatness. Welcome to the Greatness from Small Beginnings podcast, where we're talking to those who have gone from mediocrity to motivated, overlooked to overachieving, forgettable to unforgettable. Are you ready? Let's go. Well, hello, everybody. Everybody. Monday morning. Boy, does that help to combine words together so that nobody understands them, including me? It does not. Anyway, this launches on Monday typically, and I am so happy to be with you all. I said last time that I was going to be sharing a series, 7 in a row, and I'm going to be reading excerpts from an author. And you have to reach out to me to find out what the excerpts, where they're from. Best way is to DM me on Instagram, Keith L. Callaway, or Facebook works too. You could do it through YouTube. I just don't see it as much. That's fine. So last week, talked about what the author calls the first decision for success. And it's basically the buck stops here. And then in another form, he calls it the responsible decision. Like you are responsible for your own past, your own future, and your own now. I am going to read the next decision for success, and it's called, in this form, I will seek wisdom. And in the other form, it's called the guided decision, which totally makes sense when you think about wisdom. So let me read this, and man, I'm excited. So the title of the podcast is Greatness. Right here it says on my shirt, can't see the whole thing. Greatness from Small Beginnings. And Small Beginnings is my story. Small Beginnings is probably your story. And Small Beginnings may be still where we, in some ways, all still are. But we need to find the greatness, understand it in pieces as we move down the road of what God has for each of us. And I believe that we are here to not be average, that we're here to do something. We're here to do something great. We're here to be something great. And the do comes out of that. All right. That being said, these are about the being. And it is active, and it's the stuff to do. There's some practical things in these decisions, of course, but it's really important that we see them as the being. Like, what are my on the inside? Let the words change our heart, and then the actions then come out of that. All right. The second decision for success. I will seek wisdom. Knowing that wisdom waits to be gathered, I will actively search her out. My past can never be changed, but I can change the future by changing my actions today. I will change my actions today. I will train my eyes and ears to read and listen to books and recordings that bring about positive changes in my personal relationships and a greater understanding of my fellow man. No longer will I bombard my mind with materials that feed my doubts and fears. Oh man, social media does that, doesn't it? I will read and listen only to what increases my beliefs, my belief in myself and my future. I will seek wisdom. I will choose my friends with care. I am who my friends are. I speak their language. I wear their clothes. I share their opinions and their habits. From this moment forward, I'll choose to associate with people whose lives and lifestyle I admire. If I associate with chickens, I will learn to scratch at the ground and squabble over crumbs. If I associate with eagles, I will learn to soar to great heights. I am an eagle. It is my destiny to fly. I will seek wisdom. I will listen to the counsel of wise men. The words of a wise man are like raindrops on dry ground. They are precious, can be quickly used for immediate results. Only the blade of grass that catches a raindrop will prosper and grow. The person who ignores wise counsel is like the blade of grass untouched by the rain, soon to wither and die. When I counsel with with just myself, I make decisions according to what I already know. By counseling with a wise man, I add his knowledge and experience to my own and dramatically increase my success. I will seek wisdom. I will be a servant to others. A wise man will cultivate a servant spirit, for that particular attribute attracts people like no other. As I humbly serve others, their wisdom will be freely shared with me. Often, the person who develops a servant spirit becomes wealthy beyond measure. Many times, a servant has the ear of the king, and a humble servant often becomes the king, for he is the popular choice of the people. He who serves the most grows the fastest. I will become a humble servant. I will not look for someone to open my door. I will look to open the door for someone. I will not be distressed when no one is available to help me. I will be excited when I am available to help. I will be a servant to others. I will listen to the counsel of wise men, and I will choose my friends with care. I will seek wisdom. Okay, so what's the methodology for seeking wisdom? First of all, we need to get it from different places. Reading, listening, and then serving. And in each position, what he's saying, which I'll get more into, um, in each of those positions, then we gain more wisdom because we gain more association with wise people. So let me tell a story. And it's this same author that tells the story a lot, so I kind of have it memorized. Napoleon at Waterloo. Now, he lost at Waterloo, right? But according to the story, he had actually won. His army was smaller than the British army. Napoleon was French. He also had a huge ego. So we'll get to that part. And that was basically his demise. Back in those days when they had these nails, they would take into battle with them, at least those who would advance on the cannons would take these nails with them. And then when they got to the cannon, they would take a nail and they would drive it down in the firing hole. And that cannon then was disabled without blowing the cannon up. It's just a simple nail. And as the story goes, the strategist, the actually amazing strategist, Napoleon, was strategizing. He strategized pretty much on his own and didn't get the counsel of others and didn't slow down long enough to fill in the details. And his armies went into battle against Wellington and a larger army, and they had gone and they had taken all the cannons. But on the way there, and as they arrived, the fighting men who were taking those cannons realized we don't have any nails. Now, some of them knew it the night before. And can't you just imagine that the word went down back to Napoleon, back to his other generals. Hey, we need this. And they're like, no, stop, get out, get out, get out. He's on a roll. He's strategizing, whatever it is. But because of his ego, because he didn't take the counsel of others, he didn't slow down long enough to see the wise way to strategize, to make sure every detail was handled. He is blamed then for that loss against Wellington and his men. And it's after they took all of the cannons, then Wellington's army was able to come back and retake the cannons. And because the armies were closer, the cannons were more effective. And essentially, Napoleon lost at Waterloo because of his ego rather than taking a minute and being wise about what he did. So there's three parts to wisdom. It's the intake, reading, listening, reading scripture, because Solomon is the wisest man in the world, and he wrote Proverbs and other things. And we should listen to what he and others have to say. So we need to accumulate. We need to seek wisdom in that way. Another way we seek wisdom is by seeking out people who have wisdom that we don't have. In the case of Napoleon, should have done that. And then he also gives a story. I'm basically doing a book report here of the fact that we need to serve people. So let me read something. Got to get to it here. Learning to serve others. In addition to reading books and taking the counsel of wiser friends to chart a course to wisdom, the third way is by serving others. Find a way to help another human being. This doesn't mean you have to do something grandiose or even something you consider useful to others. It could be opening a door for someone, carrying their luggage, pour their coffee, hold their chair. By serving others, we value them, and this increases our own value, perhaps not coincidentally. When we serve others, we increase the possibility that they would share their wisdom with us. When billionaire and shipping tycoon Aristotle Onassis, when it was in his last year, a reporter asked him, if you lost all your money, what would you do to gain it back? He replied, well, it would be a process, of course. But the first step in the process of gaining a fortune, I would consider to be serving others. The reporter just dropped his jaw and exclaimed, what do you mean, serving others? I thought people serve you, he said. People do serve me. But it's only because throughout my life I served others. You asked, how would you create a fortune? And the first step would be to serve others. I would put myself in a position by serving others to be around people who would help me and guide me and share their wisdom and experience with me. Then he added, I would get a job, or maybe 2 jobs, or maybe 3 jobs, and I would save up my money until I had $500, and I would go eat in a restaurant that cost $500 for a meal. And then I would go work more, live simply, save my money until I saved another $500. And I would go eat again in a restaurant that cost $500. The reporter was beside himself at this point and replied, I'm really not getting this. You're trying to create a fortune, and yet you're blowing $500 on dinner. He replied, it has nothing to do with the food I eat, but the associations that I create. You see, to get where I'd want to be, I would need the wisdom and relationships with the people who eat regularly in expensive restaurants. And so, when I go into the restaurant, I make eye contact. I introduce myself. I shake hands. I say hello as I enter. I say goodbye as I leave, or as they leave. Somewhere down the road, I'm going to run into those people who will say, hey, I saw you at such and so. Or you were the man sitting at the next table when we ate at, give the restaurant name. As he concluded, he said, it all has to do with the associations you create with the people you're around, people who will want to help you because you were there to hold a chair or door for them. Serve others. What a great analogy. Okay, so 3 ways to gain wisdom. 1, first of all, it's you almost have to want it, because it takes effort. Each of these things takes effort, and some of them take immense action. So that being said, the first thing is to to read and listen to the right things and get the things that pull your brain down and make you negative, get those out of your life. So there's some action to do right now. Find wisdom in books, in stories, in mostly nonfiction, but also fiction that has a point to it. And then find people who are willing to share wisdom now and serve them. Because if you serve them, they will be kind to you and they will return with wisdom. Everybody wants to share wisdom. Everybody wants to share it. If it's not actual wisdom, but strategies, maybe they'll hold that to themselves. But if it's actual wisdom, they'll realize that it was the seeking that got them wisdom and that it didn't actually come from themselves. That's one thing I believe, is that there's very little arrogance behind true wisdom. And knowledge is an entry. We can confuse in our world the difference between knowledge and wisdom. But knowledge is a mental entry toward wisdom. But the wisdom is not the same as knowledge. That being said, I want you all to know that, what's the best way to put this? That I am on a journey of figuring these decisions out. The buck stops with me, and then seek wisdom. There's 5 more that I'm going to share, and it's honestly overwhelming. But I read these in this book, and God basically told me, apply these to your life. Find my scriptures, find my wisdom that actually sets these like concrete into your heart so they are solid and never move. And some of them, as you can tell, have action behind them, but you have to have intention and emotion. Like, why would you go spend the $500 you just earned? Well, there's a reason behind it, and he shared that reason. You're giving up something to get something bigger, grander, more important, which is association with the people that know how to do what you would like to go do. So I'll end with this that I always do, a Zig Ziglar quote: "You were designed for accomplishment, engineered for success, and endowed with the seeds of greatness. Now, my friend, go be great."